When it comes to the role of brands and businesses in sustainability, do you believe it's something that we have to include all businesses into a more sustainable future? Do you think businesses and environment are actually at odds with each other? Like, how do you see that relationship if we were just going to maybe take off the startup hat and put on the environmentalist hat for a second? How do you see us moving forward in the next 100 years with these really ambitious climate goals that we're falling supremely short on?
I'm on my heels with that one. That's a big, gnarly question. I wish I had the answers to it. I think that there's a few things. Number one, we just have to be more inclusive, more empathetic, and think about the impact of the decisions that we have, not just on ourselves and on our coworkers, but on the world, the planet, both the people in it and the planet itself. Just being a little bit less focused on the near term and ourselves and those directly around us, and a little bit more concerned with the full impact of what we do and the decisions that we make. The other thing that's really important to me is it's great to do something, but just because you're doing something doesn't mean it's enough. And I think that's something you see a lot with businesses is they were acting somewhat poorly before and now they're acting a little bit better, and that's an improvement. Great. But in relation to the starting point of their own poor behavior, which is not enough to get us out of this predicament that we're in. I do think that there's a lot of opportunity, and I think solutions like ours that can hopefully allow businesses to not just survive, but thrive, and doing so in a way with a really measurably better environmental performance, not just making products with 5% less water or 10% less energy, but saying, hey, you can sell the same product twice, which is a completely different scope of impact reduction, again, compared to revenue or compared to business growth. It's a challenge. I hope that we can address one small part of it and one small aspect of it. There's still a ways to go. And there's a lot of really smart people out there. There's also people like yourself. Not that you're not smart, but there's people like yourself that are raising awareness and giving a platform to people that are really trying to put solutions forth. And all of these things matter. And if we can start rowing in the same direction, I'm optimistic that we'll be able to hopefully correct some of this.
I have another gnarly question for you, and that is, do you believe that we can actually consume our way more efficiently out of the situation that we're in?
Man, you're killing me over here. Yeah, I don't know that we can consume our way out of it. Obviously, consuming better, and that's what we focus on, is a huge part of that. There's some really exciting technologies out there that are specific to apparel, for example, that allow for textile recycling at levels that haven't been available previously. But I would say my short answer is no. It's really hard to just consume your way out of these challenges that we have facing us. And you really need holistic solutions that address everything from technology for carbon sequestration to I've been nerding out about geothermal energy lately and what that could mean for the electricity grid, consuming better, changing our consumption models. I would love to see us change some of the things that we value as a society, but that behavior component's even harder. No, I don't think we can simply consume our way out of it. It's so much more complex than that. But the way we consume, how we consume, the velocity with which we consume, all of those are levers that we can pull to make some level of improvement.
Very good. Sorry for the hard questions, but I do think they're important questions to ask that aren't asked very often. But in your defense, though, I think what's really interesting about so yes, you're advocating for more responsible consumption. What it also is an invitation and an on-ramp to better behavioral change. It's getting people to question how much they buy, how long they're buying it for, whether or not they can return it. And maybe in a world, as we look to the future, as things become more circular, do you envision a world in which we no longer buy and sell things anymore and probably just rent and recirculate? And if so, how would that fit into your vision for Recurate? Or is that just like way too far away right now?
I don't think it's too far away. One thing that you touched on earlier that I do want to make sure we mention is if you concede at the time of purchase that a product will retain its value if cared for, then that's going to incentivize the consumer to take care of that product maybe before they took care of it because they wanted it to last a long time for them. I think it's a different concept when you say, if you take care of this, yes, it's going to last a long time for you, but you'll also be able to get 50% of the value out of it when you're done with it. I do think that can change a little bit the way that we treat the things that we purchase and how we think about them. As far as the future of brands, I'm sure that I'm not the only person that's thinking this direction, but I certainly see, and maybe there's an example of this. Lululemon bought Mirror, the in-home fitness app, and I'm sure they have some idea of how they're going to integrate those. But more and more, I think brands are going to be memberships, so to speak, or aggregators of content, of community, of product. I won't be surprised when some brand launches and says, hey, we're this is a terrible name, like the Men's Hipster Club of San Francisco. And what that means is you get a haircut a month, you get a product allotment of rental and resale or a new product, rented product, secondhand product from this assortment of brands. We have speaker events. Oh, and you get a gym membership too. And it's $1,000 a month. I don't think that future is that far off. And the brands are going to just completely change the way that they interact with their customers. And it's not going to be make 100 units, sell 90, liquidate 10, repeat. And it's just going to be a completely different way for brands to interact and monetize and hopefully offer not just products, but services to their customers as well.
Alrighty, friends, if you liked what you heard in that little snippet and you feel inspired, make sure to subscribe right here on YouTube and head over onto your favorite podcast player to look for the Impact Everywhere podcast to find more inspirational guests just like this every single week. My name is Benjamin Von Wong, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Stay positive because impact is everywhere.